Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, the market has been, for the most part, balancing within a range, but the sellers have been more dominant. Heading into the open, we are going to be using 56.5 to 58.5 as the micro bull bear zone to establish our short-term bias right off the open. If we fail to get back above 56.5 to 58.5, then that means that the intraday breakout that we saw on Friday has completely failed, and from that point, we can head lower into the 52.5 high volume node and test the 49 quarter to 51 quarter initial support zone. Now our short-term bias is going to continue to be neutral, and that means that we have to assess the market in real time to determine whether there is sufficient risk reward in buying 49 quarter to 51 quarter, because if we are heading down on strong downside momentum and excess weakness on the advanced decline on the market internals, then we don't necessarily have to turn around from 49 quarter to 51 quarter. It is a good area of support, and the expectation is for responsive buyers to be active on first test for at least a short-term bounce, but we do have to gauge the character of the day and determine just the level of weakness we're seeing, because if we're seeing excess weakness where we think that the high of day may be in, then there may not be sufficient reward to risk to justify buying 49 quarter to 51 quarter, but it is a valid area of support. Behind that, we have an open gap at 48.5, a naked VPOC at 21.46, and then the next area of support is 43 to 45, followed by 40.5 high volume node, and then 37 to 39. We have 35.75 as the 24-hour session low from Friday, and then the bigger support at 31.5 to 33.5. And really, because we are balancing within a wide range at this point on the larger time frame and our bias is neutral, buyers can technically step in at any of these support zones. So we just have to gauge the state of the market in real time and just determine whether we're seeing too much weakness. Then perhaps we exercise some caution on taking a long at support, or get perhaps better location at support. So we do have to determine then just the level of weakness we're seeing in terms of market internals, the other markets, and the real-time momentum situation on the NYC tick. On the upside, in the event that we can get back above 56.5 to 58.5, it would signal buyers stepping in, and that would bring the 62.75 to 64.75 resistance area into play. Short term, that's going to be the primary hurdle. And if we can get back above the initial resistance zone, then we can test 66.75 to 68 quarter. Now, in order to get a sustained breakout beyond 66.75 to 68 quarter, we are going to need to see some pretty decent strength in the underlying markets, in the underlying internals, and some pretty decent sustained upside momentum in order to get a break and hold above the 66.75 to 68 quarter area. And then we have the bigger resistance at 70 quarters, 72.75. Same idea applies. In order to get a break beyond that, we are going to have to see a lot of strength across the board in the other markets and sustained upside momentum. So right now, again, our short-term bias continues to be neutral. The overnight bias is bearish. The sell side has been more dominant and in control. And heading into the open, we just now have to determine the level of weakness we're seeing, because the selling is coming off of pretty close to the balance area high. So if we're not seeing excess weakness and the ADs around minus 1,000, minus 1,200, then it's not really a big deal. Buyers can still be active and we can continue balancing. But if we're seeing liquidation type internals where the tick is completely below zero and it's pressing some pretty decent values on the downside, then we have to be a bit more careful on longs and perhaps try to find a good spot to get on board on the short side. So we are open to longs and shorts because of the short-term bias and larger time frame bias being neutral right now. So those are the main ideas. Let's see how the market responds to 56.5 to 58.5. That's going to be a pretty good tell right off the open here, and we'll take it from there.